this video, I'm going to give you a little bit of a demonstration of the visual editor that comes with List Magnate when you're creating a website call to action campaigns. Now, the best way for me to do this is to start from scratch and just to give you an overview of how it works. So I'm going to call this a visual, and you should probably do this as well. Set up a visual editor test campaigns just so you can practice what it looks like. Okay, so you should do the same thing and do exactly what I'm going to do and save it. And this is going to be an inline just so that I don't have to keep on looking at a pop-up all the time. And I'm not going to worry about one or two steps. I'm not going to worry about choosing a list. I'm just going to practice. And then here comes the templates. Now, I'm not going to choose any of these. I'm going to start from scratch. I'm going to click on continue. And so when you get to the custom design section, it's blank. And you'll see it says container. And this is the default container. And if I click on this little icon here, it's for settings. That comes up. But before we get to that, you'll see on the left-hand side is a grid system. This is for adding columns and what kind of sections you want inside the container. You can add a number of HTML elements inside the sections, and all you do is click and drag them over. And so you need to add a grid inside the container and then add elements to that. Now the container is your outer box of pop-in, pop-up, or what have you. So let's just use it. Click on this little settings here, and you can just play with this. Right now, the background is transparent, but if I scroll up, you see that? And let's just make it, for example, let's make it red for right now. And you can see it's 750 wide. And so if I go to 100, you can see that it comes all the way to the left here, the little icons to the left here. That's 100 width wide. Let me go to 800 wide, and it moves to the right. Okay. And you can set a border around it. Let's make a border. Let's make it, say, for example, 10. So because we want to have a nice clear border that we can see, and let's make it green that we can really see a lot. Okay. And you can have it solid. You can have it dashed. You can have it, double lines and what have you. Okay. So we're going to make it solid. You can also put a radius around it. Maybe I wanted to have it rounded borders, corners, or what have you. Okay, maybe I'll put it at 10. From there, so it's at 80 wide. Okay, you'll see that it really doesn't go down to the bottom. It doesn't tell you how long you're going, because it could be the full page. It could be a full page overlay. If it's going to be a full page overlay, you want to put the border to 0, okay? Because you don't want to have a border on a full page overlay. For a pop-up, sure, go ahead and use a nice border, or any type of inline opt-in box. From there, so that's your container. Now you'll see here that there's padding on the container, and the default is it has these settings for default. So we're going to put it on 0. Because I just want you to see what all this stuff does. I don't want you to do the same thing. So have a test visual editor and set them all to 0. Put all the margins and all the paddings to 0. Okay. Now we can add sections, the grid sections, to the container. And so let's say, for example, we're going to add 6 and 6 is 2 columns. So we can drag this over, and that adds 2 columns to the container. Now you can see here that there's nothing inside the container. This is where you add HTML elements inside the columns. Now if I delete this column here, you'll notice that I cannot drag an HTML element inside the container. There has to be a column in order to drag HTML elements. So let me just do that again, and I can add 4 columns and what have you. Okay, and then you put HTML elements inside the columns. So let me just delete the 4 columns. We're going to work with the 2. Now inside the 2 columns, I can add, for example, titles. There's one title. Let me drag over here, and that's another one. So I want you to, inside the HTML elements, there's another little icon, and each one brings up the settings on the left-hand side. And once again, it's going to have padding, and I want you to set them all to 0, okay? I just want you to see how this is going to look. Set everything to 0 so you know how it works. And then the row, okay, at 0. So you see how it shrunk up? Everything was at 0, okay? And do the same thing to the other side. All right, so that's how it's going to look. So if I click on Save, now let me just get this code here. I'm going to put it on a website just so you can see what it looks like. I'm going to add a element. I think I have one already here. Where is it at? Here it is. There, I'm going to paste that code right in there. I'm going to save the page. So we're going to look at this to see what it looks like. And this is what it looks like right now. Okay. And you'll see that there's nothing there. Let me go back. And the reason for that is that show inline set to 0. See that? Set to 0. You save the change. And now let me refresh. It's going to show up. Okay, so there it is right there. So it's got a great big green border, and it's got 2 columns and so forth. Okay, now let's add some stuff to it. So that's what it looks like. Okay, the green border is right below it. And so we're going to come and we're going to click on there, and the text is going to be, oh, I don't know, let's put it at 50, or maybe how about 30? Okay, and the line height's going to be 50. There you go. And go to that one, and we're going to change it to, let's see, to yellow. There we go. And same thing on this one. We're going to go to 30, and we're going to change this to 50. Okay, and we're going to change this to green. There, okay, green. And you'll see here that each of these has a cell and a row. And we're going to change the colors to this cell. We're going to come and we're going to change it. It's on transparent right now, but we're going to change it to, we'll change it to black. Now sometimes when you click on this one, it'll revert to the same color. So I need to get my coder to fix that. So I'm going to save it and then come back to make that background stick. Okay, that's one little thing I got to get my coder to do. Hopefully it'll be done by the time you're in here. So now it's stuck. See, the background's stuck. So if I click on there and I go to the row, I'm going to change this down to, oh, I don't know what we're going to use here. I'm going to change it to yellow and put the transparency up. And I'm going to change the text to black. All right, so that's what it looks like right now. So if I come and I save the changes, and if I look at here, I just want you to get a glimpse of what's going to look like. So that's what it looks like right now. Okay, it's pretty cool. And so if I come and I'm going to click on edit once again, I'm going to add to it. So now we have 2 columns side by side, and there's no padding. Now I'm going to show you how this works now. So if I click on this little outer, this is the outer container now, and if I add padding, you'll see that there's a padding, and then there's the margin. And the margin will move the whole thing to the right or to the left of the page. The padding moves it within the container. I'll show you what I mean. Right there. Oops. I put 100. I put number 1. See how it moved to the left? Sorry about that. So if I put 100 to the left, it moved to the left. If I put 0, and if I go 100 to the right, it moved it to the right. You just can't see it because this thing's right here. So if I go 100 to the left. It's going to move to the left. Now let me show you what this is going to look like on the page. It's going to come over here. This is the margin. See that? How it moved it over here? 100 pixels. So having it 0 is going to be in the center. Okay. Now if I go in the padding, and if I go, 50 to the left, see how it moved it inside the container? And if I go 50 on the right, see how it moved it? And if I go on the top, 50, see that? And on the bottom, there's going to be 50 on the bottom as well. And now let me see. So there's 50 on the top, bottom, left, and right. The padding is within the container. The margin will move the entire container to the left, to the right, or the bottom, or what have you. Okay. So if you have a pop-up on your page and you want it to be on the very top of the page, a pop-up, you put a lot of margin on the bottom. All right. So let me just save this, and let me just refresh. See that? So now there's 50 pixels of padding within the container right there. Now let's just move on here. So there's 50 pixels around the entire thing. Now I'm going to take another element, and I'm going to move this. I'm going to take this away again. Here, so now it's stretched out. And so there's 2 columns. I'm going to add another container, and it's going to be a single container. I'm going to put it right there. Okay. And I'm going to put a video. I'm going to drop the video in there. And you can see that there's some padding right there. So if I click on Save Changes, I just want you to play with this to see how this works. Okay, so there's a video and it's got padding. Now let's just say we want to have that video, we want to have no padding at all, and we want it to hug the borders, and even the top borders. So you come up above, and again, I just want you to play around with it and test it for 10-15 minutes and see how it works. So if I click on this little icon here, little settings icon, just check to see, just eliminate all this padding around the cell and the rows. So if I go 0, 0, 0, 0, okay, and if I go to row, see what's there. There, so I've eliminated all that. You'll see that it's still down at the edges, and the reason why is the video. If I click on the video, it says that it is 600 wide. Well, we know that the entire container is 800. So if I go here, and if I go, that's the container, it says 800 wide. So go to the video, and let's make it 800. See that? It filled out the entire thing. See, isn't that cool? And here we can set the parameters for the YouTube. So I want to have it autoplay on or off. I want to show the controls. No. Show the logo. No. Related videos. No. Show the title. No. Okay. And it's not going to autoplay. And so that's going to stretch out to the entire thing here. So let me just save this. See? So now it's hugging all the borders, even the top ones and the bottom ones. Isn't that cool? So let's just play with this a little bit more. If I were to go right here, and if I were to change this from an inline to a pop-up, and I go to display options, and I go to get rid of that, and it's going to be an exit pop-up. I can enable cookie, and I can have it every 12 hours. I'm just going to have no cookie on it right now. And if I save the changes, now this is going to be an exit intent pop-up. So if I'm on this page and I put my mouse up, there's that pop-up. You see that? Now let me just show you one more thing here. If I come below here, and if I edit this, I can change this into a welcome page, or I can change it also into a full page overlay. So let me just go to a welcome gate. Welcome gate, you want to come and change it to a welcome gate. and it says right here, welcome gate set to number 1. So I'm going to take that off and set it to number 1. I'm going to save the changes. Now I'm going to refresh, and it's going to be a welcome gate. Watch this. Okay, I'm going to refresh, and there's a welcome gate. See that? And you can see a little arrow right there. So if I scroll down, and it's all, see how it's also red on the background? That's because if we go right here, go to custom design and go to the outer element and go to background color, it's red, and we can change that right here on the fly. So it's red around here. So you can see a little scroll down. So if I scroll down, and if I come back up, that's going to be gone. Now there's no content on that page, so I can't scroll down far enough, but it works if you have content on your page. I can't scroll down anymore. And I can change it right here. I can change it to, let's see it to black. Oh, look good. Sure, to black, or to, you know, some funky gray, or what have you. Okay. And save changes. So now it's going to be a gray background. You see that? Isn't that cool? Now we're going to go further, and instead of a welcome gate, it's going to be a fly in on the right. Okay, so if I come down here to display options, and I'm going to take this off, and it's going to be a pop-up after scroll. Okay, and it's going to be actually there's no content on that page, so I can't even scroll. But if I go, you know, 5% scrolling, that pop-up's going to show, okay, on the right-hand side. So if I go and save changes, now when I refresh, it's going to show up over here on this page. Let me just refresh. Now, as soon as I start to scroll, it's going to show up over here. See that? There it is. There it is. So that's very cool. And I can keep on showing you other stuff. So if I come over here, and I can have it as a full page overlay. And what I like to do on full page overlays is get rid of the borders. So set the border to 0. Now there's no border. And have it as a exit pop-up. Or I can also have it as a after scroll as well. So if I go 5%, keep it at 5%, or I can have it as an exit pop-up, or I can have it on both. You can have multiple things here. So I'll just save the changes. I'll refresh. Now when I scroll a little bit, when I scroll, you're going to have a full page overlay. Watch this. See that? Whoa! Okay, that is so cool. So I scrolled a little bit, and this other page pops up, and that's exactly how it works. Okay, so I just wanted you to play around with it, and I want you to set up a visual editor test just to show you how it works. And you know, you can put that as a button or as a link or order cart or what have you. So this is Mark DeLeese signing off with List Magnate, and we've showed you some things to do. Thank you.